picks and ban Lee Sin, Nidalee fast-fired and taken off the table. So with those two champions down, is this when the Skarner comes out? Is this when, what are we going to see? Is this the Kha'Zix Inori has been praying for this entire tournament?
I mean, Olaf, Elise are both up still, right? Like, those are the ones that seem to be the kind of trade back and forth a lot of time. Lee Sin gets taken off the table a lot of the time versus these excellent top-tier Lee Sins, and Nidalee is almost permaban at Worlds. So these two are pretty common. MLXG himself has not been having a very good tournament. This is a guy who has definitely heavily been underperforming along with xiohu, I'd have to say, and we'll have to see if he can step up here today, because I do think that a lot of the tournament has been about jungle and you know, jungle mid synergy, which is kind of what TSM is all about.
And interestingly enough, a little bit of attention paid to the bot lane. Jhin, Caitlyn banned away, but focusing back in on the jungle, Inori.
I think Lee Sin, okay, for the Skarner pick, it's used as like a counter to Lee Sin. So when Lee Sin's off the table, you can't blind Skarner, because if they go Olaf, it's pretty scary for Skarner. I think right now you look for the RekSai on Svenskeren. TSM's a team that controls the map. They control the pace of the game, and RekSai is probably the best champion to do that. He gives you tremor sense. He gives you good vision. You just control the map so much easier as RekSai.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And I do think that Skarner can work against some comps, like comp-specific. Like if people are playing things like, you know, Rumble, Nidalee, whatever, like all squishies where like ulting anyone is good, I think that it can work. And we did see, I believe it was Jankos played it one game against a team where he kind of called it out in the interview. He's like, well, there's actually not a bad target to ult against this team, so I was happy to play it. And I think in situations like that, it can work. But I would be surprised to see it here from Sven, especially early. I think there's almost no chance, and not going to be first round at least.
And as we see both first rotation, no one has put priority on the jungle. The RNG are now thinking about it. Let's talk a little bit about other lanes. Aurelion Sol has been a power pick in some hands and has been, honestly, a little useless in the hands of some others. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on kind of utilizing this Aurelion Sol on the RNG, and similarly, the Jayce present on the other side for TSM.
I feel like any time you have an Aurelion Sol in the game, it changes how your team has to play the game, because it has such extreme roam potential, because it can shove you in. And I know Bjergsen does not like to play it at all. It's not one of his champions, although this guy does have a massive champion pool. And you know, he is going to have experience playing against it, because he obviously scrims a lot against people like who does play it a lot. And as far as the Jayce goes, I'm a little bit surprised to see Hauntzer on it. He hasn't played it yet this tournament, and he's been more of a guy that has been playing more successful in the supportive roles, I think, more utility roles and stuff for me, rather than hard carry. At least this tournament, we haven't seen any performances where he's really taken over.
Oh yeah, I think the RekSai pick's great here. Like we were saying, like good map control, good for TSM. I'm kind of worried about the Jayce, because yeah, I don't think we've seen Hauntzer play it yet, and it's a champ you really have to change how your comp works when you get a Jayce, because you're not gonna have a frontline CC champion. You're just gonna have a range poke ability. But I like the Ryze chain. It's a lot of CC. Ryze is himself a tanky, like kind of frontliner, so they're drafting a really good comp here, and I criticized them before for their comp, and I think it's looking really good now, even for a jungler's perspective.
Now matched up against the Elise, I want to talk a little bit about early game pressure. Where do you expect, with both junglers locked in, to see this pressure moving? And as we will be, I believe, remaking the lobby here, going through champion select overall. Now, once again, we haven't confirmed that the pick bans will stay the same, but if we look at just the RekSai versus Elise matchup, who has the edge here, and what do they each need to do in terms of having presence in the game?
I think to me, we still need to see what the rest of the picks are as far as like where you can go, because obviously a lot of it depends on what your lanes are, like what's most gankable if the other team is going to draft something that's pretty susceptible to getting ganked. But I do think it's worth calling out just Ryze as far as like such a good lane to gank, obviously. The empowered W route lasts so long, and it's so easy to follow that up with the RekSai on Burrow. So I definitely think that's something that they can look to play around. And I don't know if we're just continuing now or if it's...
It would appear that, yeah, we had continued. It was a keyboard issue briefly, but it looks like quickly fixed and no longer needing to remake champ select. So, looks like the bottom line will be the Lucian, wow, blanking. Lucian Braum combo versus the Ezreal Nami. Now, the Des talked about giving Mata a playmaking support. Does Nami fill that role?
No, not really, but this lane matchup is like disgustingly good, and I think that Ezreal Nami should really be able to punish against the Braum Lucian. The one thing is, Nami is super susceptible to being ganked, especially if you're in that pushing position, at least in my opinion. I don't know if that's a lane that you would want to go to, but I think that Braum having the Ignite in combination with Lucian, who can proc his passive pretty easily, and then a RekSai, if Nami is going to be pushing in and trying to bully your bot lane, that may be somewhere he wants to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think if I'm the RekSai, I'll definitely look at the ball lane. Ezreal is the target you're not going to gank, but Nami is the you know, like I like sushi. I like going for those fish. So it's a lane I like to gank a lot, especially if she's immobile. And you have the Braum who can set you up so easily. I don't know, when I have a Braum for ball lane, I always prefer to gank that lane because he has such good setup. If you Q flash on them and get their flash right away as RekSai, I just follow up with a flash knockup, and that's all I need to do.
Instant CC chain, very difficult to deal with. But if you guys have any question about the jungle for Ezreal or Inori, remember to send us your questions on Twitter using the hashtag AskTheCasters, and we'll answer a few of those during the match. Now we gear up. We talk about RekSai wanting to pay attention to the bottom side of the map, getting that chain CC, getting off those relatively easy to execute ganks. So now is MLXG forced to play around the bottom side as well? What is his path option?
I mean, I think he definitely has a number of options. Obviously, if you can set up counter ganks, that's fantastic. But I do think that with combinations like Poppy and the Elise, I think that Jayce is someone that you can kind of pick on, because Jayce as well has to be a champion that is kind of trying to push in and harass under turret and use that range advantage early on. So I think that there's options there. I also think that Elise is just fantastic at ganking mid lane. So I think he has a lot of options here, as Elise is just really good at kind of going around the map.
Yeah, I think top lane is a counter matchup. Poppy actually does really well into Jayce. I like that matchup a lot. That's what my Jayce one-trick player on my team says. So I take his word for it. I say that's a good lane for Poppy. Elise is really good for setups. Yeah, mid lane is also a good lane, but problem with Ryze is once he procs Storm Raider, he just runs.
Yeah, he's very fast.
He just Hussein bolts it, and he's out of there, and I just get frustrated. And then they have a Jayce too, and does he have Storm Raider? Do we know?
No, I think we will see the selection here in a second. If it's the Storm Raiders, if it's the Thunderlords. We know that your top laner, the one-trick Jayce, loves him some Storm Raider Surge, loves to get in there, start those fights with it, end those fights with it.
It's so good. Like, it's defensive, it's offensive, it helps you. He needs to get in range a lot of times, and getting the proc off lets you get into range for more autos and just kite a lot better.
Yeah, word from the back is that Jayce does have Fervor as well.
Okay, so that if he's going to be playing Fervor, then he really needs to be playing it aggressively. You need to be trading aggressively with the Poppy and kind of stacking up that Fervor. It works well in conjunction with your W. I definitely think it's kind of a much less common mastery than Storm Raiders is, or even sometimes you see just like Thunderlords and things like that for quick trades. But if you're going to go this route, I definitely think it can work, but you need to be having a lane advantage against Looper. If you're not using your autos, if you're not aggressively pushing, you can't get that advantage, and it does make you susceptible.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fervor is a lot riskier because you're focusing a lot on lane, and it doesn't scale really that much for a Jayce but he's all bursts. He jumps in, he does his combo, and he kind of kites out. I like it a lot if you can get a lot of autos off, but if he gets ganked a lot and he gets put behind, I think there's like no way for him to get out of that.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, to your point about the Poppy Jayce matchup, I think it is pretty Jayce favored early, but I think once Poppy hits that certain point with the door and shield, some armor, etc., then she stops caring about your damage. And that's something both junglers will have to take in consideration, but already you can see bot lane is being shoved in very heavily, and this is, not only is Nami susceptible when she's in this position, but if you don't do anything about it, your bot lane is just going to get smacked by the harass, and you can see already DoubleLift has taken quite a bit of damage, so it's going to be one of those situations where it's a tough decision. You have to read your opponent really well. You have to make good judgments on where the other jungler could go.
And MLXG appears to be the one who have made the good judgment. The Wolf Spirit will spot him out, so good foresight from Sven to expect kind of an invade here.
I think this is really weird. Your mid laner just backed and you're trying to solo contest this. It's kind of interesting. I think it's foolish, but he is stopping and he's delaying, and Aurelion Sol is coming from base to try to secure this, I think.
Mata now moving up as well. Cocoon's going to land, Bubble next to follow up. Sven not going to tank. It does throw down some damage. MLXG setting up the goal to make a path out.
I think they took too much free damage there, and they might have to sacrifice this.
Bjergsen now back in the mid lane. This is a very chaotic on the bottom side of the map, but MLXG does successfully force Sven out of his own jungle there.
That actually ends up being really good, and I wonder if they're going to give the blue buff over to Mata. I have seen this very rarely. I've actually seen this a couple times. Okay, so they're not going to do it, but I've seen this a few times, where with Nami and Karma, where if the jungler does the invade, the AP support comes up to help assist, and they give that over, so Nami can essentially just spam her spells nonstop for free, and you can actually get a pretty disgusting advantage, even more so in the bot lane. It's certainly more traditional to give it over to the Elise, though.
Well, I see the benefits, but like, I think a few times on my team, Gade asked me to give me the blue, but I just take it every time. I think all junglers are the same. I tell myself, I'm like, what are you gonna do? I can
see how that would happen because my support asks every time, but I never give it to him. That seems silly.
And I think he thinks the same way. Like, increase your duration on your blue buff so you can stay in the jungle a lot longer. I see both sides to it. I think balling is already winning so much that the blue wouldn't necessarily be that important for them.
And DoubleLift probably pretty happy that blue buff is not in the hands of Mata at this particular point in time, but we'll see where the next one goes. Sven doing his best to clear out the jungle. Now, I want to look back at the start of this game briefly. Actually, wait, we'll hold on to that thought because we are seeing an early gank pass setup here, kind of rinsing and repeating on the bottom side.
They're getting pushed off again, and this is so brutal for the bot lane of TSM. I mean, they have to respect the roam from xiohu, right? So xiohu, they know he's missing. MLXG is down here, and they're just bleeding CS. Look at the CS right now, 38 to 22 in the bot lane because of the implied pressure of the Aurelion Sol missing and that Elise being missing as well. So, I mean, Svenskeren's getting something done here, but it doesn't feel like it's enough for how much they're losing on the bot side where they're just devastatingly behind.
Yeah, I think this is not how you should do it. I think bot lane's bleeding like so much. It's really hard to come back for like the ball lane if they're down like 20 CS. It's not something you want. I think you really need to gank the Nami, at least apply pressure. I know if you're getting shoved in, like they're going to be pushing really hard aggressively. You have an opportunity as RekSai to go behind them and possibly like flank them, but I think he's scared of the Aurelion Sol having pressure mid. He doesn't want to go bot because he knows Aurelion Sol will shove him in, and it's just a problem with mid lane having pressure and them not having the pressure mid.
It certainly is, but one thing going obviously for TSM, similar kind of leads in the top lane. Poppy did set up a bit of a freeze top lane though, which is going to mean Jayce is going to have to try to reset it or be able to basically have the support of his jungler, and it looks like he is going to be able to push it in. Both junglers, you know, are not here to pay attention to this, so it doesn't end up really mattering, but it is one of those things that your top laner can do for you to help set up those ganks. If you can kind of hold the lane in that semi-contested position just past the river, it can make it obviously a lot easier to go for those ganks.
Well, we do have a few Twitter questions coming in. One coming in from Sebastian, way 3 cool, 2 not a cool enough number. Why is Zach not used more often in professional play?
It's kind of weird. It was hyped up so much in NA, and in solo queue right now it's so like strong, but I think the problem with Zach is he's not that strong early. He needs some time to scale. If he gets behind, he just gets punished so hard. Yeah. That's pretty good for them knowing that Elise is there. But yeah, Zach is just not that strong early, and there's champions like Elise and RekSai who have such... Okay.
Oh, we're waiting. You always have to kind of wait because you're wondering, is the cocoon going to connect?
Yeah,
that one does go
I thought
wide.
they were going to jump on him, but they're just going for ball lane play, and
oh,
Biofrost
no.
is going to die.
That's not what you want. The shield is there to block, but they're not going to get tagged by the stun. Voice of Light comes out. Ooh, Q from Uzi. Sven kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, but Bjergsen is on the way. Looks like he's dueling on the side with the Nami. Svenskeren in trouble. That's the double kill for RNG. DoubleLift next on the menu. Is just going to drop.
Oh,
that's a triple kill for Uzi. TSM and the Dreams of North America not looking so hot after that play.
Oh, that is devastating for TSM. And just like that, I mean, we've seen what Uzi can do when he gets that far ahead. Not only is he massively up on the CS, you give him a triple kill at 7 minutes, he's going to get first tower gold. If they're smart, they give him solo gold here, and he's going to have like a full item. And Uzi should be able to just completely take over the game. Uzi should be able to completely take over the game at this point. Okay, never mind, they're not going to do it.
Never mind. We thought they had the intelligence, but...
I mean, they still got a triple kill. Calm down, Inori. They're still smart. Just maybe not the most optimal play.
I think they're mechanically gifted. This is clean, though. Look at Uzi. He's got the moves right there. The way he like swings in between each auto is so just sexy, you know?
Yeah. Just like the way he moves.
He's got the moves.
Just moving in, flash forward, auto. Looks like he's paying attention to DoubleLift. He was paying attention to RekSai the whole time.
Yeah. And DoubleLift just had no real business going for those last kills. Like, I mean, people were too high in HP. I know he wants to get something back, but now, I mean, look at the item buys. It's a Cull and a couple longswords versus Sheen, Tier, Pickaxe, and a longsword. So it's lights out for the bot lane. And if you're Svenskeren at this point, what do? I mean, are you just abandon ship, don't try to help him at all because he's too far behind? Or, you know, how do you try to get back into this as a jungler?
Have faith in Bjergsen's Ryze. That's what Svenskeren's doing. He's praying for Bjergsen to hyper carry. But yeah, for real, you just keep Bjergsen stable. His Ryze can actually destroy late game, but he needs to get there. He needs to make sure he's kind of maybe getting his blue buffs, but he's probably not getting his blue buffs, as we see. But yeah, you should make sure top and mid is not going to die. Just give up ball lane. Ball lane's destroyed. Like, there's no chance for them. They need to control mid and top and make sure ball lane doesn't die tier 2s, and that's it.
It seems like the only piece of good news for TSM at this point is the fact that Svenskeren has a decent farm lead, as does Hauntzer on the top side, 85 to 55. But in terms of jungle presence, MLXG has just been a part of more ganks, but it's not even MLXG. It feels like xiohu consistently roaming down.
Yeah, and it's the combination, right? And it's the jungler working well with his team. Elise is great at diving. You have xiohu on a fantastic roaming mid laner, so you can put on even more pressure in this already winning lane. And they've really put so much attention on Uzi and been able to snowball him.
Well, while we wait for the next big play, I thought we'd take another Twitter question. Richard at Crazy asks, are there any unique/innovative rune or mastery setups used so far in Worlds that a common viewer wouldn't notice in the jungle? Maybe I'll just shift this to you, Inori. Is there any interesting jungle rune or mastery setups that you've seen coming out or that you've seen?
Not necessarily. I think everyone plays pretty standard.
One thing that I've actually heard about is Karsa. You know, I was talking a little bit to Meteos, and Karsa apparently is using basically 26 flat AP on Elise, as far as just like trying to hype up early game super hard. Uses no scaling runes, so kind of like all in on the early game. And trying to have that early dueling power, and I don't know how weird that really is, but it's something that seems like a little bit less standard at least.
I actually always run that page.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I think
The Rengar player running the all-aggressive rune page?
I think, yeah, but something more people prefer the scaling 10% CDR, and it just, the AP is just so nice. It helps you clear too, and makes you clear, makes your ganks a lot more deadly. I think his W, she has a really good W scaling on her AP, so it's nice.
Yeah, good to see. Of course, one that I've seen coming up recently and one that I saw in and this could just be from what I've seen on the, you know, looking for websites, looking for guides, but the scaling health runes on Olaf. I wanted to hear about the standards for Olaf rune pages. He's a unique champion.
Yeah, for Olaf, you want to go full scaling because, first of all, you don't want to run armor yellows because you want to take more damage in the jungle, so you get lower. So you clear faster. So you just go full scaling yellows and
nope. Chance to see. Svenskeren in trouble. Voice of Light connecting. He's going to try to make it out. Nice buffer. Red buff ticks down.
Svenskeren, no.
I have no idea what he thought he was doing there. He knew that 3 guys are there. Complete disrespect of his opponent's damage. And
back?
Bjergsen's here, I guess, but this game is looking pretty bad for Svenskeren and for TSM in general.
Oh, hold the lines,
nice
guys.
cleanse.
Hold the lines.
Here comes the wave.
They actually will defend this tower, which is pretty good. You don't want to bleed too much. It looked pretty scary, and they're actually running right around.
I just think that Svenskeren had no reason to try to clear that ward, knowing that his opponents are there, knowing that they're outnumbered. You know, wait for Bjergsen to get there, have the extra body, and you know, you say they don't want to bleed too much, but he's kind of just doing just that, and he spots them all there, right? Like it's not like this is a surprise.
I think it's 4 letters, T-I-L-T. He's not playing so hot right now.
No.
Right now it's 3 letters. It's RNG, and they're definitely bringing it home. 4 kills to 0. Okay, I thought that said 12 for a second. I was very concerned for TSM. That's 17.5 to 19.7 as well as the Infernal Drake. So while it is a massive lead for the early game, it doesn't feel insurmountable quite yet, but it is getting worse. And if they keep making these mistakes, it feels like TSM are not going to have a way back.
And it's not insurmountable yet by any means, but part of the problem is you have like Jayce to the Poppy, right? So now the Poppy has like ninja tabbies and is getting that armor and has the Doran shield and gets this part where stops kind of caring about Hauntzer's damage. So that matchup is going to start turning. And yes, I think that Ryze can certainly carry in the late game, but they're a long ways off from that. And that's kind of like what you're hoping for it now at this point is to super delay the game.
Yeah, I think looking at all games today, I think mid priority is so like underrated. Like it should be prioritized 100%. Like if you don't have mid priority, we've seen what happened. Syndra, on Bjergsen Syndra, just roamed to every side lane, won the game. Here we see the Aurelion Sol push out and just win the side lanes. I think when you're going scaling mid, Hauntzer.
Nope. Smackdown. A little bit of damage here. Hauntzer trying to make his way out. Does knock Looper back, but xiohu's on the way.
Dead. Yeah, they'll chase over. He has no way out.
Unless taking a bit of damage. Voice of Light.
Yeah.
There he goes. I think it's going to be the 1-for-1.
No. Oh.
Maybe.
You got that? Yeah, last time.
Biofrost there to play the cleanup crew overall, but RNG are collapsing. Oh, yes, Uzi's here. That's so much damage from Aurelion Sol. Here comes the wave. Nice block from Biofrost. Looks for the disengage. DoubleLift got caught. Not going to be enough. Makes it out. Bjergsen killing MLXG. Stun does go wide. Nice sidestep from Bjergsen.
Bjergsen is actually really strong here, and he could look to chase. He still has his cleanse, and these guys are low. They will get out, but that was actually close to being a really good turn from Bjergsen. And to your point, he's the one who has to carry. DoubleLift is hilariously behind. He was down 2 levels, now down just a level and a half or so, but still really far down. And we'll see this fight one more time. And Hauntzer just looking for some chip, not respecting the Poppy. And we talked about at this point in the game, Hauntzer doesn't even really win that 1v1 anymore, and Looper just makes him pay.
Really solid place to be, and we see the follow-up here as well.
It's really clean, and I think one thing to bring up was after the long chase, Elise just flashed in and died for no reason. I think you just take it slow. You're winning. You're the team that's winning. Just always take the fight slow. Don't go for the flashy plays.
Interesting to see it come out, but the gold lead for RNG remaining about the same as they did trade blows in that exchange overall. And good on Biofrost to pick up the kill that he could. Bjergsen as well picking up one. So it's not all bad at this stage of the game, but it is still pretty terrifying as RNG are pretty much everywhere across the map. Now, want to hit these Twitter questions again. So James Clark, I'm not going to pronounce your Twitter handle because it's just way too hard. How is Sven staying up on CS despite all of these jungle invades?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is just the fact that RekSai just clears so fast. You're resourceless. He's able to kind of move around the map. I don't know if you want to say anything more than that, but
I think MLXG was applying a lot more pressure. He spent more time just ganking lanes instead of farming. RekSai, early game you set up a tunnel network, so it's really hard to ruin your flow of farming. You can just go camp to camp faster than any other jungler. And also, he has 4 assists. RekSai has 1 assist. He spent more time applying pressure in lanes, going for towers, and then RekSai has farming.
Yeah, but that said, you know, he's not really that much ahead in CS, and you know, he didn't go the Tiamat build.
And keep in mind, this question did come in a few minutes ago when there was a 20 CS discrepancy, but MLXG does seem now to be catching up, and honestly, it just seems like the options for Sven to go steal enemy jungle camps or counter jungle seem to be running out.
Yeah, but one thing to bring up is, like, when we saw that 4-0 lead, like, it looked really bad, but the thing is, like, early game leads, you need to transition them into, like, big objectives. I think stopping the bleeding is the most important part. You're never out of the game if you can stop the bleeding, and they did just that. They defended a tier 2 tower, and they really haven't took any other tower after that, so it's really good.
Yeah. One thing, though, I think the mid lane turret, if we can check on that, is actually really low, I do believe. So mid lane turret is about to be dead. Top lane turret, I think, has taken a significant amount of damage. So while TSM has done a good job holding on, RNG has gotten 2 really important dragons, and looks like they caught Hauntzer one more time.
Rinse and repeat. No flash this time around. The wave, the galaxy, but nothing's going to connect. However, he has to step back, and that means he's going to get knocked down as Looper picks up that kill.
I think this is not so bad. DoubleLift can get top tower. I don't know if there's a wave bond. There is, but
a little bit far out there. Or no, the first wave going to connect.
Honestly,
the second one to back them up.
Trading is never bad when you're behind, so just always keep that in mind. I think, yeah, DoubleLift's going to get top, so bot for top is, they're not even going to get bot. Actually, they're just going to try to defend top.
Yeah, so he will be able to, and you know, once again, MLXG applying that pressure, getting another, you know, assist in there, and being able to catch them. And so for Svenskeren, you talked about how the fact that he basically has to just defend his solo lanes and try to keep them ahead. And now that it's feeling like Hauntzer is becoming less and less relevant, you know, where do you go? Do you still prioritize trying to defend him, or are you now just kind of backing off of that and even more so trying to keep Bjergsen ahead?
I think the second balling tower dies, it just ends lane phase, and the jungle role becomes so more like group up and just kind of make plays for your team. At this point, you just want to keep your farm up, and you're just fighting for vision at this point. You want to control whatever your side you're protecting, just ward that side because you're on the defense, and just make sure you see the enemy team before they flank you.
And while MXG is clearing out some of this vision, there is so much in the favor of TSM. You can see the river lit up with pink wards, so Sven and the rest of TSM clearly aware of what they need to be doing next. Now, hitting in on another question from Trito Rocco, and some characters I can't read. At LOL Swizzle says, Inori, would there be anyone you would have picked instead of RekSai if you were Sven this game, or is RekSai the optimal pick?
Oh, RekSai is the best. Like, seeing his... I think I know this guy too. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, LCS photographer. Yep.
But yeah, I think RekSai is probably the best champion if your team knows how to play with it. I think the early game was really unfortunate. He made some bad decisions. Lately, his early game decision making has been poorly. Like, I just want to criticize Svenskeren on that. But once you get late game, once you get mid game, you can control the map so well with RekSai. And if you're the better team, RekSai is the best champion to have in your hands.
Bjergsen making his way back into the mid lane with the ultimate from Ryze there. And we'll have to see. We're not in the mid game quite yet, approaching the 20-minute mark. Baron spawn right around the corner. No one paying any attention to Rift Herald.
It's a pretty scary point right now as Uzi has completed his Triforce, and if you look at just the items on this guy, that's going to be so ridiculously strong. And Triforce is becoming more and more popular as kind of the snowball Ezreal item. When you do get ahead, you go this instead of that Iceborne Gauntlet, and it allows you to do so much damage, and they will be able to easily pick up that turret and finally grab some gold. But to your point, there's a trade in the top lane. So TSM is actually doing pretty well, all things considered, with how this started. It's still just a 2,000 gold lead, and it was a 2,000 gold lead almost 8 minutes ago.
We have to keep in mind, of course, the further we move in the game, the less and less 2K actually means. So as Inori mentioned earlier, trading objectives is just fine. Sven trying to make it out. Hextech lands.
Really good for them. Wait, I think Ryze got it?
Yeah, Ryze did get the red buff.
That's good. Don't let them get any more. And yeah, the gold leads, they make less of a difference as the game goes on. And it's important just to stop the bleeding whenever. And I actually think Bjergsen's Ryze is straight up just going to 1v5 late game. I think that's why TSM is just like waiting it out. They're like, hey, don't worry, we got Bjergsen on our team. Like, he can 1v5.
The hopes and dreams of America are behind you, Inori.
The TSM strategy.
Yeah.
And DoubleLift is now on the bottom side of the map looking to push in as Bjergsen currently set to 1v3. Moving in there. It's just going to back off.
It's Team Solo Bjergsen.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened with that tunnel? The tunnel went through to the other side, but he didn't go through the wall.
Yeah, that's a bug that happens more frequently lately, but you pretty much, if the wall's really long, sometimes they don't
make it
on
all
the
the way
right
through.
side. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but
Well, luckily he wasn't trying to escape from any immediate kill pressure, although he may have to.
But yeah, just defend, scale. I think Bjergsen, yeah, it's gonna go Seraphs next, and I would rather them force fights when he's 3 items. Like, I think he goes Void third. Is that how Ryze are building right now?
Yeah, usually. I mean, it's just going to depend how much MR I think is on the other team. Sometimes people do go like more aggressive options, or if they want defensive, you can even go like Azonia's or something like that. But I do think that Void third is super common.
Okay.
So looking at itemization on the opposite side for MLXG, Elise, we so often see build these hugely aggressive build paths with the Proto Belt, with the Rylai's, a lot of AP, a lot of health. This time around, however, we see the Chain Vest. And Nori, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this build path.
I think it's mostly, if you can snowball more, you go more damage. If you feel like the game's getting kind of stale and slowing down, you want to just go into tank stats, because it's just more reliable to be a frontliner than it is to be like another thread. If you don't, because junglers, as the game progresses, your eco becomes less and less. So you really need to make that decision, is like, am I going to...
Oh, Looper potentially in trouble, trying to knock him out. Ooh, gets all 3, the flash away to safety, but TSM gets the flash there, so small advantage.
That's good. They're being proactive on the map, making these small advantages, which just slows the game down even more. But yeah, the jungle point, yeah, if you're getting low eco, so you have to make that decision right after your Runic Echo. Like, is this game going to be me snowballing, or is this going to be like, hey, we're just going to group up and take visions?
So what do you think, it's kind of further along that point, about the itemization of Svenskeren here? Some junglers, you see them kind of just build a little bit of armor, and then they get a cowl, things like that to hold them over, especially against a team that has a decent amount of magic damage, where Svenskeren's going straight for a Randuin's. Do you think that he should have picked up a cowl? Do you think that finishing this item first makes sense? Where do you kind of sit on that?
I guess it's because Ezreal's 3-0. You just need a rush armor item right away. I like it because he's the only frontliner, so even the AoE slow, it's going to help. If they're diving your team and you just get the Randuin slow off, it can be really efficient. I mean, Randuins in general is kind of like a bad item because there's like no crit. But actually, there's a low crit, but not too much where it matters. I like the Randuins. I like maybe getting like a null magic soon, but we'll see.
Yeah. Another item that we could also see Bjergsen go, I have seen, is Abyssal in games like this, too. Sometimes Ryzes do like to go for that, but I definitely am expecting the Void. Either way, I mean, TSM is stalling it out, but the one thing they are not stopping whatsoever is the dragons, right? Now, 2 mountain dragons are gone, the Infernal is gone, and that's going to really help RNG to be able to take things like the Baron to extend that lead and to help to close out the game. And, how much does that play into your decision-making as far as when you go for Barons and stuff, if you have this or not?
Oh, Hauntzer trying to get cheeky. Wave on the way to back up xiohu, who does flash out, and Yuzi with the prediction on that. Oh, that was pretty dirty. Svenskeren moving in, but Bjergsen's on the way, trying to get the stun out, but they miss time a little bit. Flashes forward, looking to pick up the kill on Mata. MLXG is over the wall, but TSM don't going to fight off more than can chew. Nice gets the stun on a DoubleLift. TSM are here, and it's a party on the bottom side. Stun goes in. Svenskeren in trouble. Uzi is untouched. The red buff is going forward. Bjergsen on the backside, and Uzi still alive, dishing out the damage. Poppy not going to be enough, and xiohu, the stars, cleaning up house. Bjergsen with the cleanse wants more, but it is not enough.
He's got this.
Oh, look for a little bit more. Pulling back. Uzi's already dead. Double kill.
Just Ryze things.
I actually think that MLXG went way too aggressive there. He flashed over so early by himself, and I think that Looper saved that fight. Yeah. If Looper didn't get the stun on the wall for DoubleLift, TSM smashes that fight. Like, I don't even think it would have been close. And yes, it starts off very well, but you know, Svenskeren did a good job to kind of keep Hauntzer alive and delay this, and then that was a nice sight from Muzi, but we'll watch when MLXG does get over here, and I just think he really kind of potentially could have thrown this fight very easily.
Yeah, Mata gets burned down right at the start. Now keep your eyes on MLXG.
And now where's the team, right?
Yeah,
like,
he has no team behind him. That's like
the
really
only reason
random
TSM loses this fight, DoubleLift is not respecting the Poppy. He's standing too close to the wall. If DoubleLift is further back, I really do think this fight is a complete disaster for RNG because we saw how big the Ryze got in this fight and how much damage Ryze was able to do. So imagine Lucian is still alive here, right? Everyone on RNG dies, so definitely a misplay there from DoubleLift, not respecting the Poppy, and good job by Looper to capitalize on that. But I think that MLXG, that was pretty poorly done.
Yeah, no, I think it was really questionable on both sides. I think for Svenskeren, you don't make a play unless Bjergsen's there right now.
Yeah.
He's your muscle. He's your actual gold. Like, wait for him and just make plays around him. And I think for, the other side, why flash? You have no team behind you. You're building
there's
tank.
no damage.
What is the dead man's proc going to kill him? I don't think so. It's just very questionable play by the Elise.
I mean, good interrupt from Svenskeren, but also just Bjergsen, as you mentioned, may not be the 1v5 quite yet, but just dishing out so much damage in these team fights.
I mean, he's getting there, man. He's 4-0. He is actually going for the Abyssal here, which I think makes a lot of sense against the AP kind of heavy composition. But RNG is looking for a fight, and ooh, nice dodge there from Sven. We'll see if he can avoid the Cocoon.
Step forward. Cocoon not going to connect. Little tunnel network in here coming, letting Sven maneuver around the mid lane, but this is just RNG consistently looking for a fight, but TSM, you know, kind of tempering their aggression, only looking for the opportune moment.
And, you know, 12, 13 minutes later, it's a 1.5k goal lead, right? So RNG now is really controlling vision around the Baron. You know, thankfully for Sven, RekSai, one of the best junglers at kind of checking these bushes, at being able to safely kind of check it. You don't really have to face check, and we'll see how well they can keep this up.
I think this
wave coming in. Bjergsen goes into the
good
pinch.
At all. They should back out. Don't even go near him. He's going to one-shot whoever tries to face tank his combo. Oh, the teleport to Riku. I think it was a big mistake, RNG, waiting for TSM to come. They had a chance to rush Baron. If I have 2 Earth Dragons, I'm always saying, like, 5 seconds, we can do this, let's go.
It seems like they're really nervous to do it, but they are going now, and Hauntzer has his TP available. We'll see if he comes in.
Have to see exactly where he's going to go. Health bar ticking down.
Like
1k, 2k. RNG should be set to take this. The Poppycopter's up. Sven is simply too late. Flashed over the wall. Aggressive move. Sven gets knocked down, and Baron for RNG.
Oh, and TSM needs to get out of there now. DoubleLift gets tagged. He's going to be slowed.
Oh, tries to get the disengage. In they go. DoubleLift stunned up. Bjergsen, no options left. Cannot save the AD carry there. Hauntzer gets one.
Yeah, he's already gotten 1 turret. He's going to go for the second. Probably will be able to get it. But the thing is, RNG is not going to stop pushing. Very likely. They could just keep going. They will pull back. We'll see if Hauntzer's going to be able to get out now.
You should be able to, unless Aurelion Sol has a knee.
He has the TP at this point. He's not going to be able to base.
Yeah,
Poppy on the way.
He's dead now.
He is in trouble.
Yep.
Knocked up. Aurelion Sol is here. They're going to pick off Hauntzer. The rest of the team is in the middle lane with a creep wave, keeping this knocked down. RNG, they may be making some small mistakes, but TSM caught out, and the Baron in favor.
TSM's honestly making more mistakes, I think. Like, right there. So Hauntzer actually had time to recall after he killed the turret, but he decided to clear the full wave. So he cleans up the next full wave and then gives his life for that. And then even after you clear that full wave, you still have the ability to get out if you TP, but he doesn't do any of that. And he's 0-4-1, like on the Jayce. He's going to be pretty weak.
And we've got the Lord Dominix coming in alongside the Black Cleaver. Seems like it just feels questionable overall from Hauntzer.
Yeah, I think the biggest part is they didn't respect the Baron. Like, they have 2 Earth Dragons, and you gave them that much time where you're not actually threatening to check. They just sat around mid lane pushing it in, but I think you need to respect it a lot more and realize they can do it in 5 to 7 seconds, so you have to push up and actually just force the fight if you don't have the vision control.
Yeah, flurry of pings on the top side as well, so it seems like MLXG and the rest of RNG are ready to set up on the top side.
They see Bjergsen bot, so they're going to go super aggressive here, and Bjergsen does not have TP. TSM definitely needs to be careful here.
I think he's just going to run up, but
yeah,
it's okay. It's undefendable, the first tier, and even this tier that you just want to delay it. Ultimately, a Baron will probably get them this tower, but you just want to focus on the one behind it.
Colin comes out, not too effective against the Baron creeps. Decent damage. Bjergsen.
Yeah, it's gone.
Now moving in. Tower set to fall. Hauntzer is going to have to take a weird path back here.
It's perfectly fine, though. You just want to trim the wave as you're defending that tower. You never want to defend that one because it makes it so much easier for flanks and just getting poked by all their abilities. This gives you more room to dodge abilities and just kind of control like the wave a lot better.
Part of the problem is, though, with Uzi, he's done a really smart build. Picking up Bloodthirster first means he can play even more aggressively, and he can keep lifestealing, so he can aggressively go for the turret. And it looks like TSM's not even going to defend this one, and giving up the inhibitor may not really be okay.
And double Mountain Drake just makes it so fast. This is the last chance for TSM.
Bjergsen
They
on
want
the
to start
side.
fight. xiohu takes a decent amount of damage. Mata heals him up. Looper pulling back. Disengage ready. Keep your eyes on that inhibitor. Health bar ticking low. It does drop. Hextech item used by xiohu. DoubleLift goes forward. Seems like TSM maybe a little eager to just trade here.
As weird as this sounds, I think this is okay. You really don't want to throw the game away just defending an inhibitor. One inhib down, there isn't really any more objectives to take. Like Dragon, it's okay. Like just let them have the inhib and just focus on scaling, because Ryze really just needs this Void, or if he gets this one item, he can 1v5 the fight. And at the point where it gets to 35 minutes, one team fight can just be push mid and end the game. So they're looking to just scale and sacrifice as much as they can without losing the game.
I do agree, but at the same point, to play devil's advocate, the gold lead extended a lot there, right? You know, they're now down 6K instead of the 1,000 or so they were down before Baron. And, you know, at what point is it not okay to give up anymore? And if Bjergsen and Sven get caught here, it's definitely not okay.
Oh, just barely misses the wall stun. Wave goes over the wall. Maybe call that one a predict, but Svenskeren is going to make it out to safety. However, they just hand deliver the third Mountain Drake. And I mean, earlier we talked about the Drakes being important. Now they have a 6K gold lead, 3 Mountain Drakes, and an Infernal. It's only 30 minutes into the game.
I think it's okay, to be honest.
Everything's okay.
When is it not okay,
I'm
Inori?
saying-
Losing the Nexus, still fine.
They already have 2 Earth Dragons. They don't, what is a third? Like, if they had 3 Fire, then I'd be like /FF, because our win condition is to win the next team fight so we can take the tempo back. But if they keep getting these Earths, it's like, they already do kill towers fast, they already kill Baron fast, and Baron's lining up, so it's not really a threat right now.
I guess it is a bit of a concern, I think, as far as just how fast they can rush it, right? Like, you can almost instantly kill the Baron or the Elder at this point when you're really strong, and it does spawn with triple Mountain. So that's my concern, is it becomes very hard for them to actually kind of defend those and be able to check those in time. You have to constantly face check, which can kind of make you do more dangerous things. And xiohu threatening on the side here. Bjergsen's actually chunked out a little bit. It looks like TSM have to give up another one.
Uzi, the fearless frontliner here for the team, but no opportunity for TSM to respond.
I think now is the time you really have to fight. You don't want to give up 2 inhibs, because then it becomes undefendable.
But I think it's too late. It's already gone.
I think they're getting home guards and they're going to fight for the inhib, but the tower is already dead.
Too much damage going on in these towers. Uzi going in. Biofrost potentially in trouble. He's just going to get knocked out of the fight. Will look to ult and disengage. DoubleLift gets pinned by the CC. Hauntzer's on the side. Bjergsen's on the back. He wants to get it. Uzi moving forward. Can he get the 1v1? MLXG in trouble. Suddenly TSM are in control, and they're cutting through RNG. They saved the inhibitor, and they're going to cut down the Poppy to close out the fight.
It's okay, man. It's just Earth Dragons. It's not Red Dragons. As long as it's not Red Dragons, I honestly think TSM will win this.
Definitely just an insane pace coming in here.
I like to go there.
Crazy.
Like, okay, 1 inhib is perfectly fine. Like, I'm saying fine so much, but it honestly is. But that second inhib, you really need to just push it and go. And lucky for them, they engage on the support.
And look at this ult. This is actually really smart. So Bjergsen set up the ult for Sven to get in. He gets a 4-man knock up there because of that Ryze ult. Bjergsen flanks around behind. Just beautiful team fighting here from Bjergsen, and setting up his jungler to get that CC, keeping himself safe. He gets behind. He completely decimates them, and that was just beautiful from Bjergsen. And Svenskeren.
I was terrified. I think we were all terrified that TSM's hopes and dreams were gone, that NA's hopes and dreams were gone, at least here in Group D. But they are holding on. RNG were so dominant earlier, and they're still very much in control of the game, but they do not get that second inhibitor, and they are not able to pull that fight.
I thought they were fine, to be honest.
Everything's fine.
Okay,
I keep looking at Bjergsen, I'm like, I actually think Ryze is the most broken champion in the game right now. And I think Bjergsen's one of the best players in the world. And when pressure is on, I think this is where he shines the most. He knows he's always the one who carries TSM on his back. And when your hopes that Worlds qualifying for quarters is there, I think Bjergsen will shine the most.
Stun goes in. TP coming in as well. TSM, have they picked a good fight?
Be careful. There could be Poppy knocking him in a wall.
The ult. They have to be careful. Biofrost looks for the disengage. Svenskaren's caught off to the side. DoubleLift and Bjergsen are alive and well, but the Lucian set to go down here, cut down as well. Bjergsen still alive. Keep your eyes on the Ryze damage. Is he going to be able to get anything? Because Biofrost is the one sacrificed in the end. It is still a 3v4 TSM. Losing members. Nice block coming in from Bjergsen. Uses the shield to heal up. RNG, they may grab 2 kills, but they're not getting anything else off that fight.
Yeah, I think they might go for
They're
Baron
going to go
Rush.
for Baron, yeah. MLXG is alive, Svenskeren's dead. It feels like it's pretty free Baron with Triple Mountain. I think it's definitely gone, but it looks like TSM wants to head over there and try to do something. Do you think they can even get there in time?
I think they're waiting for Elise.
Oh, they're going to bait. Wow.
I don't know if this will work. I think if Braum goes first, he can block a lot of spells.
And remember that the pit is warded, so they know that they're not starting the Baron. But
He missed the bush. Now they don't know.
But they're not doing it still. But
Oh, there's a trinket ward.
a ward.
They put a
There's a
trinket ward in.
Okay.
yeah, they're fine. They have the ward in the pit. Now they can't be sure, however. They're going to have to move forward.
It's
RekSai
gone.
is
I
up.
think you just give
RekSai's
it up, honestly. Unless he
Is
can
the
steal.
Can they steal this?
Ulti?
Not going
Oh.
to get it. MLXG takes it away, but Bjergsen's actually moving forward. Not going to be it in the end. There's the Baron, and now
Can Bjergsen carry?
Yeah, that seems to be the question on everyone's
TSM
mind.
stay?
Can TSM survive the night is the question. Can they make it through the Baron buff? Elder Dragon on the way as well.
You also have to feel that Baron plus the Triple Mountain, your minions are not going to die. If Uzi kind of like sieges a little bit aggressively, I mean, look at his items. It's super defensive with the Mercurial and the Bloodthirster. He's going to be so hard to take down. I feel like he can aggressively move up and just auto the turrets. And if he's doing that, RNG should be able to get so much. 2 inhibitors are open. The mid inhibitor turret should die super, super fast. And TSM is going to have, I think, a tough defense. I don't know if you still are feeling it's fine, but...
Believe in the Bjerg that believes in TSM.
Believe in the Bjerg, okay. Well,
believe in the Inori that believes in TSM.
I don't believe in TSM at all. I just believe in Bjergsen. He's the only hope. Like, look at his team. 1-6, 1-4-6, like 2-4 ADC. Like,
Oh,
they
God,
need to step up
Sven.
right now.
A lot of poke going down. Not really. There is one tunnel potentially for Svenskeren to look for the flank. Ult not up yet, but Bjergsen has the ult. Maybe they can look for the same flank maneuver.
I think they do that same thing where they just ulti the RekSai behind and go for a flank. The poke is really good too.
yeah,
coming in, Looper.
they're going to have to choose their fight soon if they wanted to try to defend this, because this turret is just going down almost instantly. It's already gone. There's that ulti coming in. They're going.
Side. Sven on the flank. He is going to get one knock up, but the wave comes in from Mata. Sven is burned down. DoubleLift and Bjergsen are alive and well. However, MLXG on the front line. The star comes in, just stuns Biofrost. Down goes Hauntzer on the side. Maybe not enough. Uzi is ripping through Biofrost. DoubleLift is next on the menu. Misses the Q, but the auto connects.
TSM's done.
TSM
Bjergsen,
getting closed out. Bjergsen not the hero that North America needs. And at the end of the day, it is RNG who will advance as the 2nd seed in Group D. But it's going to take a while.
I don't think it is. I think they're going to end right here, and Uzi cleans it up. That seals it. RNG eliminate the #1 North American seed from groups. The team that was supposed to go at least to the semifinals, they don't even make top 8.
As a European representative, let me tell you, I know how watching the #1 seed not make it out of group feels. This is a rough day for North America, but while there were mistakes on both sides, at the end of the day, RNG simply out-executed.
I think it's just week 2 bad luck, you know. Just unfortunate for NA. I think for jungle matchup, Svenskeren played horrible. I'm so disappointed, like, watching him play. I think he made a lot of early game mistakes, and I think the other jungler, MXG, he played decently. A lot of questionable stuff. I don't think this was a jungle matchup at all. I think this is all about mid lane. Mid lane
And bot
roam
lane,
was
I
really
mean,
OP. And yeah,
Uzi got so far ahead. Yes, he got ahead off of...
yeah, the mid lane roam helps
Yeah.
so much though for like a ball lane to capitalize on advantages.
I mean, that was brutal playing around the bot lane in the early game. It seems like every member of RNG showed their face, and DoubleLift and Biofrost just had no time to even build up anything on the bottom side.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I mean, I think that there was a lot of kind of questionable things here from TSM as far as they're playing such a disadvantageous bot lane. You know, Svenskeren did not have a great early game. Hauntzer's playing Jayce, which is not really a champion we've ever seen him on.
Yeah,
as far as the Jayce did nothing.
That?
Yeah.
Why'd you pull out Jayce now? Like, it's just so unreliable, and why not just be a frontline tank? Like, Bjergsen could have carried that if he had like a frontline tank who could push up so Bjergsen would be more safe, but they went with the Jayce pick and it did absolutely nothing. And
it feels to me like when you pick the Jayce, you just do not have comeback potential coming in from the top lane.
Jayce is honestly, I think, looked awful at Worlds. I feel like this has like been the biggest bait pick as far as it seems to be super popular, but it feels like pick Jayce, lose game almost every time.
Yeah, it gets you CS advantages, but it doesn't get you much after that. It's just, I'd rather be a Gnar or like a Poppy where I have frontline CC potential, which is really OP right now.
Or I mean, the Rumble or Kennen, I think those both make sense if you don't want to play like super frontline. But yeah, I'm definitely surprised the TSM moved away from kind of their tried and true stuff.
And just putting so much pressure onto Hauntzer, still very much a rookie player here on the world stage. Feels like maybe the wrong decision from the team because, I mean, just an absurd amount of pressure. This is a new guy. Now he's playing a carry champion, totally different from what he had played during the regular season, even during the last few games. It's an immense amount of pressure to put on one of your younger players, and it just feels like it worked against TSM for the majority of the match.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Balling really did not play well at all. They got really chunk out early game, and I think they could have communicated the roam better, but still, like, Balling didn't really have a choice there. I thought DoubleLift at all people would really be the person next to Bjergsen carrying the game, but it felt like it was just Bjergsen versus the world there, and he didn't have enough resources to really carry that game.
It was insane to see, of course, Ryze setting up those TP flanks. They got one successful play on it. RNG, however, adapted. They saw it once. They knew it was coming the second time, and they pulled back. And maybe TSM had the opportunity to pull back as well, but they decided to pull the trigger in the end, and it counts against them. And, I mean, once again, it's just brutal to watch. RNG, this is kind of the level of performance we expected from them, coming in early, winning the lane, using MLXG to shut people down, to use these aggressive ganks. But for TSM, it's kind of a sad story because we did not expect the bot lane to be outclassed.
Yeah, well, and especially with how RNG looked the rest of the day, right? Like, they got beat by both teams today very handily. Splice beat them, Samsung beat them. It did not look like it was going to be RNG's day, but Uzi kind of has another one of these games where he just ends up popping off. He got ahead from the roam, from the jungle dive. TSM did not really play to their win conditions, not really play to kind of how they had to with Svenskeren protecting them and so on and so forth.
Yeah, sad to see for TSM and Splice, but congratulations to Samsung Galaxy as well as RNG. But that'll do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow when our first matchup of the day will be iMaze Athena and Flash Wolves Maple going head-to-head. We'll have to see if a North American team can make it out of groups. But for now, we go back to the stream for an interview with RNG's Uzi as his team moves on to the quarterfinals. For our entire